And away we go. Wednesday edition of the show, all across America, on SportsMap Radio affiliates, worldwide on the SportsMap Radio app. We got a lot to do over the next 3 hours, like we do every night. Final show of the week for me on vacation. It's not even vacation. I shouldn't call it that. That would be misrepresenting. I don't believe in the idea of taking vacation during football season. You know, it's like a blackout period. If you work in a certain line of work, like if you work retail after Christmas or in between, Thanksgiving and Christmas, no days off, that sort of thing. For me in sports radio, there really isn't much of an excuse for you to be taking days off once football season starts. It just demands all of your attention. I took a couple of Fridays off because I had stuff planned before we launched the show, but I don't believe much in taking days off during football season. Once we get out of football season, different story. But we will be off tomorrow for Thanksgiving. Obviously, happy Thanksgiving in advance to everybody. Hopefully you get to enjoy it with the people you love. And if not, the next best thing is spending it with people you just could kind of tolerate, which is what a lot of Thanksgivings are like around the country. And then we'll take Friday off, the Black Friday, and I'm heading up to San Francisco for 4 days. I'm going to go chase Aaron Judge around, see if I can find out if he's signed a deal. My husband's looking at me like, are you nuts? We're going up there to get away from all of this. No, we are. Just going to go up there, chill out for a few days, enjoy the sights and the scenery and the sounds of San Francisco. I lived up there for a number of years. Now I live in Palm Springs, so it'll be fun to get up there for a few days, see some friends, take the dog with us, and hope we can hopefully we can get through it unscathed. In this hour of the program, you'll hear from Jason Cole. Does a great job on the NFL for Outkick.com. He's a Hall of Fame selector. We'll do our NBA live betting with the Warriors and Clippers. And we'll do some NFL. Start with the Jets, who have pulled the plug on their star young quarterback. It's next on the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. What's going on, my man? Yeah. Is it quiet? A lot of people already like taken off, or is it? Yeah, I figured. I ain't gonna You know how you know a holiday is near? If you're watching the show tonight on Twitch, twitch.tv/JasonPage77, I noticed our producer engineer tonight on the show, Austin, has not yet followed me on Twitch. Just calling you out, man. Calling you out. Give me some love. Got to take care of the people that take care of you. Let's go. You know it's the holidays when I'm getting a haircut because I know there's going to be pictures taken. And we're going up to the Bay Area, so I'm going to want to get some pictures taken. We are actually staying, like literally around the corner from where Aaron Judge is reportedly staying while he's in the Bay Area. So I'm just saying, we might run into him. Maybe go hang around AT&T Park, something like that. I'm just saying. I'm not saying I'm going to stalk the guy or anything crazy like that, but it might be fun to just kind of peek around, go hang around the hotel, see if he happens to saunter through the lobby. Hey, what'd you do on your days off? I sat around the lobby and looked for Aaron Judge. Matter of fact, I was trying like crazy tonight to get a reporter on in the Bay Area. They're all like, I'm going on vacation. I'm taking time. You're in the middle. Your team that you cover is in the middle of like the biggest chase of the entire free agency season, and you're going on vacation? Say it isn't so, San Francisco. Ugh. Anyway, we'll get to that later in the show because there is some new reporting on the whole Aaron Judge brouhaha that's going on around the Major League Baseball offseason. So we'll get into that coming up a little later on. As I said, Jason Cole will join us in about 25 minutes, talk some NFL with him on this Thanksgiving Eve with 3 football games tomorrow. And we do begin in the NFL where, look, I don't think anybody should be surprised. You know, it started to drop a little earlier this week that the Jets were considering making a change at quarterback, that Robert Saleh, their head coach, was not necessarily married to the idea of Zach Wilson starting this week, and he shouldn't. I mean, Zach Wilson should not be the starting quarterback of this team. Listen to the head coach in his own words.
The biggest thing with Zach, and the same things that we've talked about, is the young man needs a reset. His decision-making's been fine. His practice habits, all that stuff have been fine. But there's some basic fundamental things that have gotten really out of whack for him. And this is just an opportunity for him to sit back, focus on those things, find a way to get reconnect to all the different things that we fell in love with during the draft process. And it's something that I feel like he's going to be able to do. Saleh's
trying his best to put a rosy picture on, a happy face on a very unhappy story for this organization. Because anytime you have to make this sort of change on a team that is a playoff contender, even though I've been saying for a while now that if Zach Wilson's the quarterback, the Jets will not be a playoff team. And frankly, I think going to Mike White is a mistake too. You have a solidified veteran quarterback on this roster that you could win games with. You know how you know? He's already done it this year. And instead, they're going to Mike White with Joe Flacco as the backup. Now, maybe it gets ugly early and, the Jet defense can hold down Chicago a bit and they can go back to Flacco and he can rescue them if White can't get it done. But the reality is, you're in the mix right now. You don't have time to just give away a game, especially to a Bears team that hasn't won in a month. And that's what they're at risk of doing this week, starting Mike White. Again, Saleh trying to put a happy face on this, saying this about Zach Wilson.
Zach's career here is not over. I know that's going to be the narrative. I know that's what everybody wants to shout out, and that's not even close to the case. The intent, the full intent, is to make sure Zach gets back on the football field at some point this year. When that is, I'll make that decision. I'm going to take it day to day.
Yeah. This is the first real strife in the Robert Saleh era of the New York Jets. This whole situation with Zach Wilson. And it started last week when he kind of chirped at the press about the fact that, well, yeah, I'm 0-3 against the Patriots, but you guys don't know what you're talking about. It's all us. We know what's going on here. And then he goes out and probably plays the worst game of any starting quarterback in the NFL this year. And at the end of all of it, says, yeah, you know what? I don't feel like I let our defense down. Your defense that held the Patriots to 3 points through, 59 minutes and 45 seconds or 59 minutes and 40 seconds. And you have the nerve to say you didn't let your team down? And he can come out all he wants right now and apologize. But you saw in a quick snapshot last week and then on Sunday everything you needed to know about this self-entitled punk named Zach Wilson. Who does he think he is? He's accomplished nothing in this league. He can't even beat the team in his own division in the Patriots. And you're going to sit here and tell us we don't know what we're talking about when we watch you play? Again, this kid needs some humility. I hope he comes out of this better than he does going into it. I hope he can reemerge and get his career back on track. But this kid's got some bad wiring going on in between his ears. There's no getting around it. And whenever you hear a quarterback have to talk about things like this, in his second season in the league, still wet behind the ears, playing in New York, this is just really bad news.
You know what? It's deserved. The way that I handled the situation wasn't right. I got to be a better football player, and then I got to be a better leader for these guys. And you know what? I have an opportunity to turn the page here as a player and as a leader, and to be able to take a step forward and be able to be here 100% for my guys and be able to handle the situations correctly.
He went and basically said to the team, "My bad." But it's just, once you've lost those guys in the locker room, once they've seen who you are and what you are, getting them back is incredibly difficult. And I think it's over for Zach Wilson in New York. I really do, because if this season goes down the way it's currently going, if Mike White struggles or Flacco can't rescue them, whatever it winds up being, if that is the case, then you're talking about a situation where Zach Wilson's going to be the guy that gets the blame. He's going to be the fall guy. And I don't know what you do if in that situation if you're the Jets, because the quarterback of your future, if it's not Zach Wilson, if you make that determination this quickly, he's probably not going to be on your roster next year either. And this is a good young team. Defensively, they're one of the best teams in the league. But you have to be able to do something offensively to help support that defense, and they simply haven't been able to do it. Hey, I haven't given out the phone number yet, so let me do that. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Tweet at the show as well, at The Back Page. Again, hit me up on Twitter, at The Back Page. Jason Cole will join us in about 20 minutes. We'll get some thoughts with him on a whole slew of NFL topics, but also the 3 Turkey Day games. Is tomorrow the Odell Beckham Jr. Bowl? I want to get into that a little later on because I think it's a very fair question. Is Odell Beckham really watching? It just sounds kind of goofy to me that we're even having this kind of conversation, but is Odell Beckham Jr. really watching this game between the Giants and Cowboys and sitting there saying, yeah, I'm going to make my decision as to which team I'm going to go and sign with for the remainder of the season based on one game on Thanksgiving? You got guys hurt. You got guys banged up. I mean, all these different things. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go do. It just doesn't, it seems kind of nonsensical to me that any professional athlete would make a decision that way. But if anybody would, I'm not trying to play bad on Odell Beckham Jr. I love him as a receiver. and he's going to make somebody a lot better. But if he's watching that game tomorrow in Dallas between these two 7-3 teams battling to be the second best team in the NFC East, and certainly battling for and jockeying for a good spot in the postseason as a wild card, if that's what he's doing, then okay. If that's how you want to make up your mind, then okay. Buffalo plays Detroit tomorrow in Detroit. Of course, the Lions always play on Thanksgiving. If it looks familiar for Bills fans, it's because you were just there watching them play the Browns. And then the late game over on NBC tomorrow night, not on Prime Video, the Patriots in Minnesota to take on the Vikings. So you've got two of these three games I think are very intriguing. I mean, obviously Detroit is an underdog at home against Buffalo, and anything could happen, as we've seen with the Lions winning in New York or New Jersey against the Giants last week. But how do the Giants respond off really their worst performance of the season? Remember, they lost to Dallas earlier this year, so they need this game desperately. How do they? I want to see what urgency looks like for the Giants under Brian Dable, and I think we'll see that tomorrow. And then you've got the late game, as I said, with the Patriots coming off of that emotional win against the Jets. Minnesota coming off perhaps one of the worst performances by any good team in the league we've seen this year. They got blasted by Dallas at home. I would expect a big bounce-back performance from them. We will do a special edition of Page's Picks tonight in the second or third hour of the show. I haven't decided yet where I want to do it. But we'll have a special Turkey Day edition of Page's Picks coming up before the end of the show. We'll pick the 3 games this week instead of 4. All right, the phone number is 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004, and again on Twitter at The Back Page. NBA, it's live betting time on the show. We do it every night. We're in a bit of a rut right now. There's no getting around it. We're going to try and snap that tonight. We've got the Warriors at home in San Francisco, of all places, taking on the Clippers. So we'll keep an eye on that game and see what we like from a live betting standpoint. Warriors playing a little better as of late. They're 8-10. They've played well at home. The Clippers just can't get their full roster together on the court at the same time, so we'll see what they do tonight. We'll come back, tell you what's going on in that game. A lot more to do. Glad to have you with us on this Thanksgiving Eve. Get the turkey ready. Get it out. Let it thaw a little bit. Start doing the slow cook on it. Whatever it is you do. We're coming back. Talk about it. Cash in, SportsMap Radio. Oh my God. You're not going to believe this. The show continues on this Thanksgiving Eve. Jason Cole coming up in 12 minutes. Talk some NFL with him. One 800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You can also tweet at the show at the back page. Again, on Twitter, at the back page. It's the Warriors 20, the Clippers 18, as those two teams match up tonight in the Bay Area. And thus far, the live betting on it, because that's what we're all about on this show. The live betting, well, we'll have to wait and see, because it just went away. So we'll tell you what the live betting on it is in just a moment. Start to get a peek inside that matchup in terms of where it stands for the live betting. We'll also keep an eye on what's going on between these two teams, the Warriors and the Clippers. Of course, big foes in the Western Conference. Certainly two teams that expect to compete for a Western Conference title and a shot to go to the NBA Finals. As it stands tonight, there is no Kawhi Leonard on the court. And look, it just continues to be this day in, day out, who knows. It's almost like a whack-a-mole. All right, the knee is still stiff and bothering him one night. Then it's an ankle that's bothering him. You just don't know from night to night what ailment is going to be troubling Kawhi Leonard. And I don't know how you continue to operate a franchise in such a way that you're essentially held hostage by the health of one player. Because Kawhi Leonard is the difference between this team being a playoff team, a 6 or a 7 seed, and having a shot to compete for an NBA title. And you don't know from one day to the next which Kawhi Leonard you're going to get. And I don't know how, if you're Ty Lue in this franchise, I don't know how you operate in that sort of situation. It has to be extraordinarily frustrating for the guys on that team. No Paul George tonight either, by the way. So, again, and for the NBA, here it is. It's a Wednesday night game. It's Thanksgiving Eve. A lot of people are at home watching, and you got a marquee matchup that's missing two of the most important players for the Clippers against the Warriors. It's just very frustrating. And the Warriors have their full complement. And by the way, Charles Barkley might have woken up the sleeping giant that is turning into Klay Thompson. Because look at Klay, ever since Charles Barkley basically said, he's kind of done. Yeah, he's not the same player, basically. And that hurt Klay Thompson, but it may have woken him up. They may want to send a fruit basket to Chuck in Phoenix for the Thanksgiving holiday. Maybe send him a big fat turkey. Because he may have helped wake up Klay Thompson, who is starting to look like Klay Thompson again. He put up a 40-burger the other night. 9 minutes tonight, 3 of 4 from the field, 13 points, 5 of 6 from the line, 2 of 3 from three-point range, and the Golden State Warriors lead the Clippers 28-22. Curious. You never know what's going to motivate a professional athlete. You never know what it is that's going to get somebody lit up. And who would have thought that, that it would be a comment from Charles Barkley, which goes to show you the reverence that some guys look at him with. That Charles Barkley said, boy, Thompson's got 15 in the first, and there's still 2:41 to go in the quarter. Wow. And the Warriors are off and running right now, up 30-22 on the Clippers on a night where the Clippers are missing their two best players. This could be a rough broadcast for ESPN tonight. You could be staring at a situation where, this thing gets out of hand sort of early, and you just got to sit there and twiddle your thumbs and try to figure out ways to keep an audience engaged and keep them tuned in for 4 quarters, and it ain't going to happen on Thanksgiving. It's not going to happen on Thanksgiving Eve, I can promise you. They're just not staying plugged in. One of my favorite things, if I could just kind of, wax poetic for a second. One of my favorite things that I miss about being back home in Connecticut, which is my home state, is Thanksgiving Day high school football. And I don't know if states all around the country do this. I honestly don't know. So if you do, you could tell me, 1-800-224-2004. I don't know if other local, districts and regions and states around the country, if they do the Thanksgiving Day high school football, but Connecticut, it's a tradition in Connecticut to have high school football on Thanksgiving Day. And one of the places I got my start in broadcasting, true story, East Haven, Connecticut, 1994 Thanksgiving Day game, the annual Thanksgiving Day game between my high school, East Haven High School, my alma mater, and our rival, the town next door, the Branford Hornets. And it was one of the first games I ever did play-by-play for, and it was this crazy, memorable ending. But when I think about Thanksgiving, as much as I think about family and being together with my loved ones, and I won't be with them this year, they're all back east. And my partner and I decided not to fly back east this year and to just stay out on the West Coast for a change because he and I had been apart from each other for a while. I always think back to what I love most about Thanksgiving, and that is Thanksgiving Day football. So I know a lot of people, there's the 3 NFL games tomorrow. We'll all get fired up about that, and we'll talk about it with Jason Cole from Outkick.com, the NFL writer for them, and a Hall of Fame selector will join us here in a couple of minutes. But Thanksgiving high school football, those rivalry games, that's some of the stuff I miss most from my days back east, growing up and getting started in broadcasting and getting to cover those games. It was just always so much fun. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. And again, hit me up on Twitter at the back page. As I was getting my hair cut today, as I'm wont to do every month and a half or every month or so, I was sitting in a sports clips, and they always have, obviously sports on the TVs in there as they try to cater to sports fans. That's sort of the niche, the catch of what they do there. And it was Vikings, Cowboys, and Pat Summerall and John Madden were on the call. It was an old game on Fox with those two calling it. And it was so great to hear them again after so many years. It was wild to just watch how much different the NFL was. Pocket passers, Troy Aikman throwing the ball around to Michael Irvin. It was great. All right, stick around. We're coming back. We'll be joined by Jason Cole. We'll get some thoughts from him on a whole slew of NFL items. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Glad to have you with us. I'm starving, and I got to smell that right now. No! Rolling along on this Tuesday edition of the show. Dude, I don't have time. Continuing on this Thanksgiving Eve, Austin Rodriguez engineering and producing this masterpiece tonight from Houston. I head up to San Francisco, the Bay Area, for 4 days tomorrow. We'll be off on Thursday and Friday. We will return Monday. You'll have alternate programming in our place on those days. Always happy to bring in this guy. He's probably getting ready for Thanksgiving himself. He's Jason Cole, Outkick.com, NFL writer. He's a Hall of Fame selector as well. What's your favorite thing about Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving football, whatever. I mean, you got something you really like about Thanksgiving?
Really good Brussels sprouts, because I don't eat them pretty much any other time.
Oh, Brussels sprouts are gross.
Roasted with sea salt, olive oil, then a little bit of honey, and rendered down bacon.
Are you a cooking nut? Hey, hold on, are we revealing something about you tonight? Are you a big you a nut in the kitchen?
Oh, I can throw down.
Really?
Yeah.
So you and Russell Baxter
I'm an amateur, but I can throw down.
You and Russell Baxter probably compare notes. He's a longtime NFL writer. He's been around, researcher and stuff around the game for a long time. I'm sure you know Russell. Mm-hmm. He's big in the kitchen too.
Oh yeah, I can cook just about anything.
Really?
So, yeah.
I love the fact that I just sprung that question, because I learned something about you that I did not know all these years. And I am the complete opposite. I do none of the cooking. My job is to stay out of the way and not screw it up. And let my
yep. Yeah. My girlfriend is like that. I mean, just stay out of the way. Just don't do anything. Although we went to San Francisco. We went 2 weekends ago, not the last weekend, but the weekend before. And we went to Tyler Florence's place, Wayfarer Grill, right? And which is terrific. And it's a very short menu, but everything's done, really well. And we're sitting outside, and they bring the popovers, the Yorkshire pudding, right?
You sure?
And she's never had Yorkshire pudding, right? And she's like, what is, and they have the sea salt and the butter, and they're hot, right out of the Yorkshire pudding pan things. And she goes, this is amazing. And I go, oh, I can make that if you like. I have a Yorkshire pudding pan. I can do this. So, she's kind of fascinated by stuff like that. So I'm, very happy to get that kind of stuff to try.
Jason Cole is a catch, because he can cook. See, not a lot, not a lot of guys can. Not a lot of guys can cook. They just, they'll take people out to eat or take their spouse or significant other ever out to eat. Not a lot of guys can cook. So you've got a leg up on a lot of guys in that department. You won't be a free agent for very long.
A lot of guys can grill, but cooking is a different thing. It's like, and in fact, right at this moment, friend of mine just had her birthday yesterday, and I didn't know about it. So I decided to whip together a chocolate bundt cake, which is made with like sour cream and instant pudding mix and all this other stuff.
You're making me hungry.
So that's in the oven as we speak. So there you go.
You're making me hungry. You know what? I'm going to be driving right by San Jose tomorrow on my way. You bet. I might have you make some more, because we were actually considering taking the. We're not even going to get into any football. I was considering taking the PCH up tomorrow instead of.
It's a great drive.
We were thinking about it. We were thinking about it. I haven't decided yet. We're going to leave around 6 a.m. from Palm Springs and get up there. We're hoping around 3 or so. But I may drive right through San Jose, so I might do the old drop in. I might do. You can do that. You can give a call.
There'll be good eats to be had. So there you have it.
All right, talk to me about the Zach Wilson situation. What does it all mean for this team? They're saying all the right things in terms of trying to say, Robert Saleh saying we're not giving up on him. I hope he's back later this season. When you try to sort of decode everything that was said today, what do you get?
He's got some making up to do, and it's stuff that you can't just stand there and apologize, right? You have to stand there and say, you know what, I was wrong. And from here on in, I'm going to turn it around. I'll be focused in on what I have to do. I will learn the offense. You're not going to hear a peep from me. There's nothing that Zach Wilson can say to make up for what he has done. Because the worst thing about Zach Wilson was not the fact that he did not take accountability. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. The pure and utter lack of preparation. And I got to give Dan Orlovsky a lot of credit. I mean, he did a great analysis, without being vicious, of what Zach Wilson did not do on Sunday. And there were 4 or 5 plays that Orlovsky broke down and said, this is a miss on an obvious read. This is a miss on an obvious read. This is a miss on an obvious read. This is the play. It's set up. You have to throw it. And when you don't do these kinds of things, your teammates lose faith in you, right? And that's what's happened. Guys have lost faith in Zach Wilson because he is simply not prepared. He's not put in the work. And it goes along with, he's just a pretty boy. Right? He's just the guy with the good looks from Utah who showed up, and the night before the draft, or the day of the draft, he's modeling suits. He's cashing in at every opportunity. He's not focused on the job of being a quarterback. And that's what you have to do first, because livelihoods depend on this. And the livelihoods of other players, the livelihoods of coaches, the future of franchises. There's a lot wrapped up in it. And it goes way beyond the fact that he just said no at the wrong time on Sunday. The no was just the coup de grace. Okay. All the other things are an indication the guy is not prepared to do his job. While on the flip side, on Sunday, right, assuming Justin Fields plays, here's a guy who's putting in a tremendous amount of work to go along with a tremendous amount of physical ability, right? He's an amazing runner and big physical guy. He can throw it decently. Probably got a better arm than a lot of other quarterbacks. Not, maybe he's not advanced in terms of reading defense yet, but he's advanced to the point where he's a weapon and guys are rallying around him. As opposed to Zach Wilson, where guys are scurrying from him right now, to the point that Saleh has to let this guy take a seat and go rebuild his career.
Yeah, there's a real dichotomy there between the two. Jason Cole, Outkick.com, NFL writer, joining us here on the Cash In on SportsMap Radio on this Thanksgiving Eve. Is there something to be said for this idea that Giants-Cowboys is, this battle for Odell Beckham Jr.? I don't think OBJ's making his decision based on this one game, is he?
I would doubt it. I mean, look, OBJ is making his decision based on where's the place that he thinks has a better chance to win a Super Bowl with a quarterback that he likes, who can get him the ball and make him look like a star so that he can cash in after this season, and he can build upon the legend of OBJ, right? Because right now, the legend of OBJ is about as big as it's ever been. I mean, yeah, those first few years with the Giants where he's putting up incredible numbers and making the one-handed catch, and then he starts to fall off, and he goes to Cleveland, and everything kind of falls apart. And then he resuscitates himself in L.A., is having this monster Super Bowl where he looks like he's on the way to being not just the MVP of the Super Bowl. I mean, leading them to a victory, which is amazing, but also could have been the MVP of that game before he gets hurt, right? And so now he's, basically it's, well, let's make a deal. He is the mystery behind door number 2 or door number 3, right? And everybody's anticipating, oh my God, it's going to be the OBJ. It's going to be OBJ. He's going to be amazing. Maybe he will be. I hope he is. And certainly I like to write about great players. I hope he's a great player. But we don't know what he really is. We just know that there is this amazing myth-making going on. And the only way to propel that myth is to win and to continue to win. So he's got to build upon this. He has an opportunity. And so I think he goes to the place where he can win. Is that Dallas? Is it New York? I think Dallas is the better bet. Does San Francisco come in at the end and say, look, Brandon Ayuk, it's been fun, but you're not progressing fast enough, and we want to have another option to go with Debo and Christian McCaffrey and Kittle, because this can, take our offense another notch up. Who knows? But that's what I think OBJ is looking at, is just where can I build upon my myth and status.
Can I submit another name to you, and just you can laugh at me if you think I'm stupid? How about Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly in the realm of possibilities. I just think Tampa Bay is damaged in ways that I think that are hard to overcome. Like, can you get the offensive line back together? I mean, they're last in the league in rushing.
Yep.
Because their offensive line is terrible, and Brady's got no time to throw. Now, he's still Brady, right? And you could do it. But I will also say, I think Tampa Bay, their ownership is sitting there going, we're only going to spend if we think we really have an opportunity. Like, you notice, after they lost the pass rusher, they haven't, Shaq Barrett. They had opportunities to go get another pass rusher, right? They didn't do it. So I think they're being very like, look, you guys get it together and get healthy, but we're not putting any more assets into this season because it's chasing, good money after bad because of the state of the offensive line.
The early game is Buffalo and Detroit. I'm not going to focus too much on that because if Buffalo does what it's supposed to do, they should win that game in Detroit.
I think that's a cool game.
Really?
I think that's a really cool and interesting game because Detroit can do one thing. I mean, look, you're overwhelmingly probably right that Buffalo should win this game and should win it going away. But I will say Detroit can run the ball. And they can score running the ball. And Buffalo is suspect against the running game. And if Detroit can slow this thing down, couple that with, look, Josh Allen's played some really sloppy football this season. A lot of turnovers out there, a lot of interceptions. They've had 6 turnovers in their last two losses. This could. I just think this game has potential to be more interesting. Yes, overwhelmingly, I think they win it. 28-17. It's just kind of a snoozer from the midway point of the third quarter. But there's possibilities in this one. A I'll just say that. Just
right.
watch this game. It's interesting.
I got 60 seconds. I think how Minnesota responds coming off the drubbing at home against the Cowboys is going to be very interesting tomorrow. Thoughts?
Fascinating game because you have two teams that are basically trying to overcome their quarterbacks in certain ways. I don't think Minnesota is very good. So they could win just because I don't think that New England's overwhelmingly good. I think that both these teams are probably, they're going to probably make the playoffs. The thing that I'm fascinated by, aside from, how does New England stop Justin Jefferson and force Kirk Cousins to either be patient and just keep giving the ball to Dalvin Cook? But the other one is, like, how does Kevin O'Connell do in his first game against Bill Belichick? Like, you talk about, like your first year head coach, you've had a pretty good season so far. Now you're going against the master. and the guy who, truthfully brought you into the NFL.
Yeah.
Because in 2007, 2008, that opportunity was provided by Belichick.
It's true.
Now, O'Connell bounced around the league, never really made it as a player, but he became a coach. And that starting point is kind of Belichick. And so now you have a chance to go back up against this guy who's got 326 victories or whatever it is, right? 329, whatever. I can't remember the number at the moment in time. You've got 8. And he's going to take away Justin Jefferson. He's going to do everything he can to take away Justin Jefferson. And are you going to be patient enough to play it with Dalvin Cook and try and win the game with Dalvin Cook? Or are you going to try and outsmart the master and force the ball to Justin Jefferson? I really want to see how that plays out because I go back to the Super Bowl between the Rams and New England, a few years ago, when it was McVay against Belichick, and McVay got caught up in him against Belichick.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I got to wrap. Jason Cole, Outkick.com, NFL writer. Enjoy the Brussels sprouts tomorrow. I'll call you when I'm coming through.
Anthony Bourdain will be the ghost of Anthony Bourdain will be by.
All right, we're coming back. We'll wrap up the hour next. Thanks, Jason. Jason Cole was like, if you want to swing Who likes Brussels sprouts? Ugh. Before we wrap up the hour, your reminder, go and check out playfortickets.com right now. Enter the Super Pick 7 contest. Pick the correct side in total on Sunday for 7 games, and you could be headed to the big game in Glendale, Arizona this February. You know the one. Every Sunday of the NFL season, including the playoffs, gives you a chance to win $50,000 cash, 2 tickets, airfare, and hotel. It's at playfortickets.com. Free to play, free to sign up. It's all free. Just go and pick the games. Freetoplay.com. The Super Pick 7 contest. We're back with another hour of the cash in, an update on our game of the night as we continue on SportsMap Radio. Stepping away. Be right back. Yeah, I tried on my Herschel. Which you, by the way, could always wear, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You look very cute. Glad somebody thinks so. I always thought you looked very cute in hats. Yeah. Hats. Guest for 8:40 tonight to really make this thing easy. Didn't have to. Somebody to talk about Aaron Judge. All the Bay Area writers like bail. They're all just like, we're done. Don't bother us. I felt so bad for the poor kid working at Happy Sushi. There's literally one guy waiting table. The restaurant is packed. How do you only schedule one server on Thanksgiving Eve? He's like, yeah, they screwed up doing the scheduling. I felt so bad for him. I'm like, I can't get mad.
Did he really sound like that? Did he really sound like Eeyore?
Kinda.
market in the convention center and lost my.
No. Oh, no.
Might be the card.
What time is it on the exact time?
28:04. When does your second restart?
Quick 3-minute. Quick 3-minute segment. And then, so they changed what's going to come in January is the clock. And we'll be doing four 11-minute segments each hour.
Why?
Because they have a new clock with these things.
Hello? Yes. Hi.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Should be on my end. Yeah. Yeah, I recorded. No worries. Thanks for asking. Second hour of the show starts right now. SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. That might be the quickest I've ever eaten in my life. I think I ate a whole meal in like 6 minutes. I was hungry, and I was bordering on hangry, so I had to get some food during the break. Whew, now that I'm satiated, let's get back to the show. I got to get into this Mavericks-Celtics game tonight. I got some thoughts that I want to get into on it, both in terms of what I saw and some of the reaction to it. We'll do that coming up in a few minutes. We'll keep an eye on the live betting for the Warriors and the Clippers. Golden State leads 59-46 in that game. About $1.54 to go in the second quarter. Klay Thompson had 15 quickies in the first quarter. He is still stuck there now, 16 minutes of playing time for him thus far. But 4 of 5 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3, 5 of 6 from the line. Andrew Wiggins has 12. And if you're the Clippers, you're just trying to hang around, keep this game close, see if you could steal it late. But they were up against it tonight with no Paul George and no Kawhi Leonard, who's, what do you know, missing another game because of injury. I said it before. At some point, if you're this franchise, you've got to decide whether Kawhi Leonard's going to be a part of this thing or not. And I know they're paying him a ton of money, but you have to at some point start to assess whether or not you can count on him. And I'm not trying to say he's faking it or anything like that, but some guys, it gets into their heads. It's always tricky when you start questioning guys on whether their injuries are valid or anything like that, because I'm not in their bodies, you're not in their bodies. This guy hasn't been the same for a very long time. And when healthy, he's one of the best players in the game, but when healthy is a huge if with him. So we'll keep an eye on that game. Got to talk about the Mavericks and Celtics, though. I'll tell you why on the other side as we continue. The cash-in on SportsMap Radio continues. We'll do Paige's Picks, the Turkey Day edition, coming up in about 32 minutes as well. Stay tuned. Okay, so we've been refunded on the... Ah, 'tis the season to be jolly. I know nobody's going to care about this, but yeah, it's this kind of stuff that goes along with the holidays, right? So we're going up to the Bay Area Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, we're going to go do some shopping. Black Friday, I know, we're insane. We're crazy like that. Go, get around the city, but we got the dog with us. So we go and get the dog a sitter yesterday. Got it all wrapped up. Boom. I was the hero husband. Got it figured out. Bang. And then at, 8 o'clock at night on a Thanksgiving Eve, I get a note from the sitter. Oh, I got to cancel. I can't watch your dog on Friday. I'm like, come on. Can't catch a break, man. So, if anybody knows a good dog sitter in the Bay Area, let me know. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. The Warriors are running away and hiding already in this Wednesday night game over on ESPN. They're up 66-47 at the half. Clay's got 15. Wiggins has 15. Curry has 11 at the break. The Warriors still got to figure out a solution for their bench, it's just not that good. Outside of Jordan Poole, they are not getting a lot of production from the bench. And that's something they're going to have to figure out. Because you can't play your starters every night heavy minutes, especially with an older team, and expect that they're going to be fresh come the postseason. But for the Clippers tonight, they were up against it, as we mentioned. No Paul George, no Kawhi Leonard in this game. So, I got to get in a thought here, and I know our Dallas audience listened on 97.1 The Freak in Big D, which is the Mavericks flagship station, I believe there. I know they'll appreciate this. The Luka Doncic situation there, and by situation, I mean the guy who has just not enough talent around him to succeed. Now, it looks like they've got to find in Christian Wood, and I think he's going to be valuable to them if they are to make any sort of noise in the Western Conference. I mean, after the loss tonight, they're 9-8. They were down by as many, I think, as 26 or 27. And Doncic did, his normal thing. 17 of 28, 42 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds. I mean, he was that close to a triple-double. But I'll keep saying this until I'm blue in the face. They will not win games if you are consistently relying on him to put up those sorts of numbers. There's burnout, there's injuries, there's frustration, whatever it may be. They have got to go and get him some help. Now, I don't care what you got to do it. Now, Christian Wood is definitely part of the solution. He needs to be starting. He cannot come off the bench. 34 minutes tonight. He was 10 of 14, 26 points, 12 rebounds. You keep watching him every game, and he's good. I saw him last year in Houston, and I thought he was good. This kid can play. So get him out there consistently with Doncic. Just have them start together. Manipulate the lineup however you have to do it. I mean, you're not playing Dwight Powell all that much anyway. So Wood is essentially the de facto starting center. He comes in, he plays 34 minutes. Powell only plays 11. And is, a complete zero factor in the game. But he's got to get some help. And that team's got to play a little more defense than it's playing. If Steve Nash got the gate in Brooklyn because that team wasn't performing to expectations, and he was essentially the fall guy for a dysfunctional franchise. But at the same time, I mean, I watched this Mavericks team. Where's the intensity on defense? You don't see it for 48 minutes. You see it for portions of the game. You saw it a little bit in the fourth quarter tonight where they were able to make a run. I think they got to as close as 9, maybe 8. That was it. And I'm telling you, that this thing with Luka, it's going to be very interesting to watch. Because he's a great player on a team that just right now feels like it isn't going to be much of a factor as we look ahead to the postseason and beyond. I just don't see it. Tim Hardaway Jr. I look at this roster and sort of the way it's composed. There's a lot of voids in this roster that they've got to fill. I think Mark Cuban's a hell of an owner. I'm a huge fan of his, both on the court and off. But there needs to be a sense of urgency for this franchise to figure out how you get talent around Luka. Because you know what happens in these situations. Go look at Anthony Davis in New Orleans. It was year after year after year of struggle and not being able to win and knowing and finally coming to that realization and being able to grab it and understand, okay, this is what this franchise is. I'm not going to be able to win. And then you've got to become the villain and go to the franchise and say, I want out. Well, it's only a matter of time before Luka hits that point. Right now, it's all great because he's one of the most covered and coveted stars in the league. And people are talking about him on a nightly basis. And that will satiate your ego and your personality for only so long before you're going to go to management and say, all right, fix this or I'm gone. And I know people will say, well, what does gone mean? He's under contract with the team. But if you know anything by now, you know that guys can force their ways out in myriad ways when they're unhappy. I mean, he's not a free agent for another, 3 years or 4 years, whatever it is. I mean, he's making an insane amount of money. But I can point to a ton of guys over the years that have made a lot of money and not had to, and still been able to force their way out despite the fact that they're locked in under huge contracts. Luka's he will not accept this forever. The guy is a competitor. Although tonight I have to say there were a couple of times where I'm watching him on the defensive end and he's just playing one side. But when you play the one side as well as he plays it, you'll sacrifice the fact that he's not going to play the kind of defense you might wish he would. And you hope in close games down the stretch when it matters most, He'll tighten it up a little bit on the defensive end, but my God, is he fun to watch offensively. Goodness gracious. The guy he could get to anywhere he wants on the floor. He could get to any spot, anytime, make any shot. I mean, how do you stop a guy like that? And then you collapse a couple of guys on him. He finds the open man. He doesn't force it in that situation. He's just amazing. I could watch him every night. And, Mavericks fans, you don't know how lucky you are to go from the era of Dirk Nowitzki and the future Hall of Famer and the greatness that was him to a guy like Luka Doncic. You have no idea how lucky you are as a franchise. And that's where the Mavericks are in terms of that one player. But much like Dirk, who for a number of years didn't have enough talent around him, they're going to have to figure out a way to get it figured out with Luka. I don't know what the immediate answer is. Next time we have Kurt Heelan on, we'll talk about it. I'll make a note to discuss it. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Here's a question for our audience in this hour of the show. And you guys get feel. We're guest-free for the remainder of the hour. Who's the one player, if I give you one player that you're tuning in to watch on like one of these weeknight games if they're on, who is it? Who's the one player you're tuning in to watch? I'm just curious to know. 1-800-224-2004 from anywhere in America. 800-224-2004 and tweet at the show at the back page. Because you've got to be a real NBA fan if you're watching at this point of the season. Because this is the sort of sleepy time of the year. A lot of people say the NBA season doesn't start until Christmas. Some people have suggested they should start the season at Christmas. That'll never happen because of all the money involved. But if you're watching the NBA like I am at this time of year, you're watching because you're a real fan. Who are you watching? I'm not necessarily so enamored with the idea of a team, and I know most people will call in and say a player with a particular team because they watch that team, and that's fine. I watch players. I'm a Knicks fan, but I'm not such a Knicks fan that I'm watching every game they play every night. The only team, and I've said this before, the only team I really live and die with on a regular basis is the Yankees. And outside of that, everything else, I'm about watching athletes. I'm about looking for stories. I'm watching stars. Luka is a guy, every time he's on TV, I want to watch because I know he's going to do something amazing. Stephen Curry is another guy like that. As much as I can't stand the Warriors, you love to watch Stephen Curry. Who's that guy for you? 1-800-224-2004. And again, hit me up on Twitter at the back page. We'll come back. I didn't talk about it with Jason Cole last hour from Outkick.com on the NFL. I didn't talk about the Aaron Rodgers revelation that came out today. It's not a shock if you listened to our show last night because we played you the video of him on Pat McAfee's show talking about his thumb. But we'll come back because there's another question I want to ask with regard to this Aaron Rodgers situation. We'll keep an eye on the Warriors and Clippers from a live betting standpoint and more as we continue Thanksgiving Eve with Jason Page. The Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Okay. I'm thinking right now we leave at 6 a.m.
We still have to get air for the tires.
That's fine, we can do that. But 6 a.m. I think is...
I carbonated it and forgot about it.
But yeah, I'm thinking 6 a.m. is going to be the best bet.
Look, let's go. Look, let's go.
real life going on behind the scenes of the show. Always fun. Always fun. Yeah, we're driving out at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Ugh. Wow. Wow. All right. Good to be with you on this Thanksgiving Eve. Glad to have you aboard. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Always on Twitter, at the back page. Again, on Twitter, at the back page. Glad to have you along for the ride tonight. Page's Picks, the Thanksgiving Day edition, coming up about 13 minutes from now or so. Clippers and Warriors in San Francisco tonight. The Warriors trying to get to within a game of 500. I think they're 8-10 now on the season. And I've said it before, some of these teams that got off to slow starts are starting to slowly get into gear. But Golden State 66 to 50 on top of the Clippers right now. The live betting, because that is what we're about on this show. We love giving you 1 or 2 live bets every night. Right now, it's Clippers plus 16.5. On the money line, if you're looking for value, it's the Clippers plus 1,060. For those that don't know, that means if you wager $100 on the Clippers right now in live betting, you would win 1,060 if they were to win the game. 226.5 is the total. Let's hit the under on that, can we? Yeah, let's make it official. Matter of fact, it just went up to 227.5, so let's bang it at that. 227.5 is the number, and if you can get it right now on whatever sports book you're on, let's go with the under 227.5 on the Clippers and the Warriors tonight. And hopefully we can get you a winner going into Thanksgiving. Winner, winner, chicken dinner going into Thanksgiving. It's cooler than that. 227.5 is the number. And we'll see what happens in this game. We'll keep tabs on it throughout the night, and who knows, if there's another live bet we really like, we'll hit that too. But 227.5, the total, under that total is what we're talking about in the Warriors and the Clippers. 10:36 to go, third quarter. Warriors on top, 68-52 on this Thanksgiving Eve. Everything else in the NBA is done. Is there anything else going on in sports that's live right now? Maybe some hockey? Let me say, is there hockey going on? Okay. Anaheim leads the Rangers 3-1 in the second period out in Anaheim, about 2 hours from where we are. Canucks and Avalanche are 2-2. Seattle, the Kraken, doubling up San Jose 4-2. Boy, how good have the Devils been lately? They lost to Toronto tonight 2-1, but New Jersey's been playing some really good hockey as of late. 68-52 Warriors on top of the Clippers. So let me get in a thought on Aaron Rodgers here if I can for a second. He's one of my favorite punching bags, so to speak. So today he made it official and revealed that he has indeed been playing with a broken thumb for several weeks since the loss to the Giants overseas. Now, he kind of confirmed it. If you listened to our show yesterday, you heard us playing the audio of him on the Pat McAfee show in which he was answering the question about whether or not the thumb was broken or not. But he never felt the need to go into any crazy detail about the right thumb injury because, as he says, it was never going to keep him from playing. So here's the thing. Here's the way I got to look at this. He doesn't get the built-in excuse because he could have chosen to have surgery. He could have chosen to let Jordan Love play and lead this franchise while he recovered. And instead, he put himself ahead of the team and said, no, I'm going to play. He said, it doesn't make a difference with me playing. It doesn't make a difference. You saw the tape on my thumb. Didn't make a difference. Rodgers was asked specifically on October 26th if the thumb was broken. He said at that time, my thumb is hurt. And again, on Tuesday with Pat McAfee, he went into it as well. Said he had worse injuries that he's played with. It's a challenge. The days off helped. Says he's feeling better this week. He practiced Wednesday after a big break from practice following the loss for the Packers last week to the Titans on Thursday night. He missed big throws in that game to Allen Lazard and Sammy Watkins. Says their passes he would complete 99 times out of 100. Still saying the thumb doesn't have anything to do with it. But here's the question I have to ask when I look at this Aaron Rodgers situation. Does this reveal what the Packers really think of Jordan Love? Because as much as you want to respect as an organization Aaron Rodgers, it's for you to decide whether or not he plays or if he's capable of leading this team on the field. And I'm not even talking about the rhetoric off the field or any of the stupid stuff he says on McAfee's show or anything like that. I'm just talking about from a playing standpoint. Winning football games. As an organization, they deemed that him with a broken thumb on his throwing hand is better than a healthy Jordan Love. In a situation where you could have given Jordan Love the starting job for 3 or 4 weeks, let Rodgers heal up. Maybe they win a couple more of those games. Now maybe you're in a position to actually win something, as opposed to being in basically desperation mode. The next loss for this team is the one that pretty much ends the season. And unless you're going to sit here and tell me that you believe the Packers are going to win out, which I don't think anybody of sane mind believes. Sorry to our friends listening up in the Green Bay area, the Appleton, Wisconsin area. I'm sorry for those of you that are listening up there, but you know in your heart of hearts, you were booing them at halftime on Thursday night. You know this team goes into Philly this week and probably loses, drops to 4-8. Oh, they could win the last 5 and finish 9-8. Yes. And monkeys could fly out my butt. It's not going to happen. Green Bay's done now. And I wonder how much different it may have been had they opted to give Jordan Love a month starting for this team. Run the football a little more. Use his legs a bit. Find out what you have in this kid. Instead, it was a broken up, busted Aaron Rodgers with a broken thumb on his throwing hand. And again, I'm sorry. You've got to look at this Packers organization and say, what are you doing? There's no direction. There's no control. There's nobody standing up at the top of this franchise and making decisions. They're letting Aaron Rodgers do whatever he wants. And again, great that you want to appreciate that the guy's won a Super Bowl for you. Great that you want to respect that he's won a couple of MVPs. But he's not the owner of the franchise. You owe it to your fan base to give you the best chance to win. And it's obvious, albeit in retrospect, that the best decision as it relates to the franchise known as the Green Bay Packers was he should not have been playing. There is simply no getting around it at this point. They chose poorly. They lost to the Giants, and then with the broken thumb, they lost 27-10 to a Jets team that can't score. They lost 23-21 to Washington on the road. They lost 27-17 in Buffalo. And then they lost 15-9 in a game where Rodgers looked awful against the Lions. They get the miracle win against the Cowboys. And then last week do nothing in the loss against the Titans on their home field. I just don't know. I don't know where you go. I mean, and you look, as bad as, you can make the argument that they weren't playing well. Even when Rodgers was healthy, this team was struggling to find offense. But at least they were 3-1 through 4 games. You have the Giants lost 27-22 overseas. Okay, tough loss. Now he's got a broken thumb. You're still 3-2 at that point. If you start Jordan Love for a month and go 2-2, your entire season looks different. Page's Picks, Thanksgiving Day edition. We'll get to it in the next segment. Lots more to do on the Cash In, SportsMap Radio. So for the podcast, 20 minutes till the top of the hour. The cash-in continues on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. We'll get to Paige's picks coming up in a few minutes here. Got to talk about my friends at Jock Market. If you have not tried out Jock Market yet, what are you waiting for? I've been telling you about it now for about a month or so, maybe 5 or 6 weeks. If you love fantasy sports, but don't like the hassle of always having to go and make an entire lineup and find a roster, just look at a slate of games, you like a couple of guys that you think are going to do really well, Jock Market, it's all about you. It's called Jock MKT, which is short for Jock Market. I have always dreamed of finding a stock market for sports, an app that would allow me to blend two of my greatest passions into one. Thanks to Jock MKT, the stock market for sports is officially here. Jock MKT offers live daily markets for sports, lets you buy and sell shares of athletes in real time with other users, all for real money, and each share has a guaranteed payout at the end of the night. I've been on Jock MKT for about 6 weeks now, counting down the minutes until Turkey Day in the NFL. You can just go and play on the slate of games tomorrow. Go find a guy or two that you really like. Buy shares in them. You bid on them in the IPO phase. And then you watch them play really well, and you make money. It's as easy as that. Here's what you do. Download it using jockmkt.com or deposit with my promo code CASHIN. jockmkt.com or download the app, the Jock MKT app. Deposit with my promo code CASHIN. Your first deposit is a 100% deposit match up to $100. Your first market will also be risk-free, with losses refunded up to $100. Jock MKT offers live daily markets for sports, lets you buy and sell shares of athletes in real time with other users, all for real money. And again, you could do it in 36 states. There are more coming for NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, PGA, and NASCAR. It's jockmkt.com or the Jock MKT app. So go and check it out. It's a lot of fun. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. And again, you can tweet at the show as well, at the back page. Again, on Twitter, at the back page. We're keeping tabs on the NBA live betting game of the night. Our live bet on the NBA tonight, under 227.5 between the Warriors and the Clippers. Right now, that game in the third quarter, it is the Warriors 79, the Clippers 68. Golden State 79, Clippers 68. So Golden State letting the Clippers hang around right now. And look, we saw, Philadelphia, an undermanned Philadelphia team last night, missing 3 starters, beat the Brooklyn Nets. So you never know in these games sometimes when you have teams that are undermanned. Sometimes guys will play above their heads and strange things can happen. Klay Thompson, by the way, had 15 points in the first 10 minutes of this game tonight. He's still stuck on 15. Made 4 of his first 5. Now he's missed his last 4. So there you go. All right, my favorite thing we do on this show each and every week. We typically do it on Fridays, but we're doing it today because we're off on Thursday and Friday this week with the Thanksgiving Day games just around the corner. It's time to do a little something we like to call Paige's Picks. There it is. Bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Yes. We love that music. It means Paige's Picks time on the show. Week 12 in the NFL begins on Thursday this week with 3 games on Thanksgiving. Game number 1 gets underway just after noon Eastern time, 12:31 p.m. Eastern kickoff, in fact. It's the Bills going back to a place they just played in last Sunday, Detroit, to take on the Lions. The Lions come in at 4-6. the win against the Giants certainly had to buoy their spirits in what's been a down year where they've lost a lot of close games. And I got a thing for home underdogs. I think Buffalo wins. If you can find it at 10 points, I would say to snap it up, maybe even buy the hook and take it at 10.5. FanDuel Sportsbook, which is what we go by on the show, has it at Lions plus 9.5. I'm still going to roll with them. I think Detroit covers. The Bills have played a lot of close games, sloppy games where it gets close late. The game winds up closer than, the score might wind up closer than the game actually is. I see backdoor cover possibilities here. I think Detroit keeps it close on Thanksgiving Day. Give me the Lions plus 9.5, game number 1. Game number 2. Let's talk a little bit about the Giants and the Cowboys. The OBJ Bowl, they're calling it. The Odell Beckham Jr. Bowl. The winner gets OBJ. I don't know if that's true. What I do know is Daniel Jones is coming off his worst performance of the season. He was terrible last week in the loss to the Lions. The Giants didn't run it well in a week where they were going up against the Lions defense that usually gives it up when it comes to the run. And this week they go up against one of the best defenses in football in Dallas. Everything should say Dallas covers the 10, right? It's a rivalry game. It's a game inside the division. The Giants lost the first time they played against Cooper Rush. And logic would dictate that the Cowboys should be able to cover the 10 against the Giants, but I'm just not there. I think the Giants keep it close. And even if they lose, I still think they cover the 10. Give me the Giants plus 10. I think Daniel Jones bounces back with a big game this week. Giants plus 10, game number 2. Game number 3, and it's our final game. It's the Patriots plus 2.5 in Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Listen, when the Patriots play the Jets, they are good, man. They know how to win. Problem is they're not playing the Jets this week. They're playing one of the best offenses in football. I don't care what happened last week with regard to that. Question is, can the Vikings do better defensively? Well, the thing is, the Patriots' offense isn't very good, so I think the expectations of what they're going to have to do defensively aren't all that big. This is a curious line. When you look at the records of these two teams, the fact that the game is in Minnie. Minnesota minus 2.5 doesn't add up on paper, does it? The last time I saw one of these suspicious lines, I wound up getting burned. It was Tampa Bay and Seattle in Germany. I said, the line doesn't make sense. I kept saying it over and over again. There's no way that the Patriots, or rather, that Tampa Bay could be a favorite against Seattle. And guess what? Tampa Bay wound up winning. This time, I'm still sticking to my guns and saying the line doesn't make sense. The Patriots plus 2.5 seems low. I called it a lock a couple of weeks ago with Seattle and Tampa Bay. I'm not going to go that crazy this time because I looked like an idiot the last time I said it. But Minnesota minus 2.5 has to be the bet here. This team going to lose back-to-back weeks? At home? I just don't see it. Minnesota feels like the pick at minus 2.5. I'm sticking to my guns. I'll take Minnesota minus 2.5. So our 3 picks for Paige's picks, which, by the way, we come into this week 22-23. We're just a game under 500. We're getting close to respectability here. We're getting close. Our 3 picks for Week 12, the Thanksgiving edition of Paige's Picks. The Lions plus 9.5 at home against the Bills. The Giants plus 10 in Dallas against the Cowboys. And the Vikings minus 2.5 at home against the Patriots. That's Paige's Picks. here on the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Good to have you with us on the show tonight. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You can also hit me up on Twitter at the back page. Again, on Twitter at the back page. Speaking of football, and I know a lot of people have been watching the Prime Video games. You've probably been frustrated with the quality of the broadcasts. I know the numbers overall for Prime Video are good, but I'm sure there's been some games over the last few weeks where the audience figure probably isn't what they were hoping it would be. Story I was reading today, talking about NFL Sunday Ticket, which has been on DirecTV forever, literally. Since NFL Sunday Ticket came into existence, the only people that have had it have been DirecTV. That's going to change with Sunday Ticket, the rights for it, going elsewhere when the current contract is done. Where it goes is the big question. Apple TV is said to be the most interested party, to kind of put the NFL Sunday Ticket along its sports properties. It's got a deal with Major League Soccer. It has a deal with Major League Baseball for Friday Night Baseball, which, let's be honest, it had some mixed results. The latest update from the New York Times on this is that negotiations probably aren't going to wrap up until next year, despite the fact that there was hope it would get done before that. YouTube, yes, YouTube/Google has also emerged as a contender for these contractual rights to carry the Sunday Ticket. They're talking about, this is crazy numbers. And the number, I guess after a while, all the numbers just start to sound like numbers. And I don't know if people appreciate just how much some of these companies pay for these play-by-play rights. But the Sunday Ticket deal is expected to be $2.5 to $3 billion annually. So Apple TV or Google or YouTube, they're going to pay $2.5 to $3 billion a year for the right to carry the Sunday Ticket, which, by the way, isn't cheap. It's like $300 or $400 for the entire season. It's not cheap. But again, Google, even though Apple is the front runner right now, the New York Times says Google is the alternative front runner to get the deal. And Google's hoping to use Sunday Ticket to make YouTube TV more appetizing to people. I have to say, I've had YouTube TV for a while. I've actually been fairly happy with it. But I'm not necessarily the best person to ask because there's a zillion channels on YouTube TV, and I probably watch 7 of them. So I'm the wrong person to ask if it's a great bargain or not. A report from The Athletic over the weekend said Apple and the NFL were going back and forth on semantics like the inclusion of international sales rights, blackout restrictions, which is a big deal with Sunday Ticket. But the NFL is not willing to give in on those points right now, and that's why Apple's passion for the deal may have actually started to sour a little bit. So Google and YouTube may jump into the fray, and you can never count out Amazon and Jeff Bezos. You know what they're already paying for the current Thursday night package. So I wouldn't ever count out Jeff Bezos because he's got as deep a pockets as anybody. And that's about it. There ain't a lot of other places you can go. I don't think Hulu's jumping into the mix. So we'll have to wait and see. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You can always hit me up on Twitter at the back page. We'll update you on our live bet of the night. That is the Warriors-Clippers under 227.5. We'll tell you what's going on in that game and more as we continue on the Cash In on this Thanksgiving Eve on SportsMap Radio. It feels like a Friday, even though it's a Wednesday edition of the show on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Getting set to put the wraps on this hour of the program. Next hour, you'll hear my conversation, our 2-for-1 tonight. Jason Cole, NFL writer, Outkick.com, a regular on the program. We found out something interesting about him tonight, too. You're going to want to listen to that. He's also a Hall of Fame selector. We got into the whole Zach Wilson Jets debacle. Like I said, last week that loss to the Patriots was the most Jets kind of loss you could possibly have. 3-3, game is late. Boom, punt return for a touchdown with about 10 seconds left, game over. That is, if there is anything that could send the Jets into a, toilet-like spiral to finish this season, it is what happened on Sunday against the Patriots. It'll be interesting to see how they respond this weekend. We're not on the air the rest of the week. So when we come back on Monday, we will know if the Jets were able to respond. This is the first real test in this Robert Saleh area, this first real kind of stress and strife moment for the Jets. At home against a Bears team that, despite their record, has played better. It's going to be interesting. We'll come back. Another hour of the cash-in right around the corner. The latest in the Aaron Judge Giants saga. It's next on SportsMap Radio. together, yes, indeed, on this Wednesday / Thanksgiving Day edition of the show. Glad to have you along. SportsMap Radio, the SportsMap Radio app. Happy Thanksgiving, no matter where you may be celebrating it, whether listening to us on one of our many SportsMap Radio affiliates across the country or the SportsMap Radio app anywhere in the world. I once celebrated Thanksgiving in Singapore a couple of years ago, where they don't celebrate Thanksgiving. I don't know, it was maybe a few years ago. And what makes Singapore Thanksgiving interesting is turkey is a lot more expensive because they're harder to find because they don't do Thanksgiving there. So we did a proper U.S. Thanksgiving in Singapore a few years ago at our condo in Singapore, and it was fun. It was a good time. Brought over a whole bunch of friends. It was fun. Did it on a weekend instead, but I love Thanksgiving. This is going to be one of the weirder Thanksgivings, though, that I've ever had. And it's one of the first that my husband and I have actually been able to celebrate in the U.S. together because we've been living apart for a number of years. And normally it would be, a gathering with friends, or we'd go fly back east and celebrate Thanksgiving with my family and stuff like that. And this year it's just me, him, and the dog going up to San Francisco. And I don't even know, do we have dinner reservations for... We don't even have dinner reservations for Thanksgiving. This is crazy. I don't think I've ever not had dinner plans the night before Thanksgiving before. We have no dinner plans right now. And we're going to go drive like 7.5 or 8 hours tomorrow, early in the morning, from Palm Springs, California to San Francisco. So if anybody lives anywhere between Palm Springs, California, and San Francisco, we're looking for dinner invites. The caching continues on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on in this NBA game. Warriors winning in a blowout. She'll be there. Oh, you betcha. We are sweating out our live bet tonight, which is the under on the 227.5 live bet on the Warriors and Clippers. We took the under 227.5 on the Warriors and the Clippers. That game is 108.90 with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. We'll let you know how we do. 1-800-224-2004. This brings me back to a point. I want to get back to something we were talking about at the end of the last hour. I got to get into some baseball stuff here on the Aaron Judge, San Francisco Giants flirtation that is playing out right now in the Bay Area. But I got to get back to I was just reminded of something during the break about this whole thing with Apple TV or Google/YouTube TV and Prime Video. There and it's very relatable to people who bet on sports. So listen up. This is one of the big problems when it comes to Apple TV, Prime Video, YouTube TV, Hulu. If you're watching sports on any of those, there's a big problem, and it's this: buffering. And sometimes it's buffering you don't even notice. And it's costing you 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds. There's nights where I'm watching a game here and talking to our producers back in Houston, and they're 20 seconds behind what I'm watching, which is already 20 seconds or so behind what's happening on the court or on the field in any given game. And this is a problem for live bettors. So if you're live betting sports, and every second is crucial when it comes to live betting, if you're live betting sports and you're watching these games as they go, sometimes you're looking at lines that aren't based on what you're seeing on television. Like right now, I'll give you an example. I just looked at my TV. It's 111-90, Golden State leading the Clippers. The actual score is 116-90. Now, granted, I could see what the updated score is on my computer screen, but I'm not physically seeing how it got to 116-90. So it becomes, I think, very challenging for people who are trying to bet on games in real time and live betting. I think live betting becomes a real challenge when you're not watching something that's up to the second, up to the minute. It can be a problem. And it's been an issue with Prime Video. I know that for sure. It happens with me in baseball all the time. I'm watching baseball broadcasts on YouTube TV, and my crew's watching it on cable back in Houston. And they're like, wow, I can't believe what just happened. And I'm going, what? And then 20 seconds later, it happens. And I'm like, damn, man, you just spoiled it for me. And I actually have to tell our crew in Houston sometimes, don't tell me what's happening in the game because I'm 20 seconds behind you. So that's a real issue, I think, for live sports coming over the internet. It does not have the same immediacy. I'll even go a step further. I'm sometimes watching games and I'm on YouTube, on Twitter, and I'm live tweeting during a game, which you might laugh at, but as somebody who does what I do for a living, that's something we do. But sometimes I'm live tweeting during a game, and I'm reading stuff on Twitter that's happening at that game before I'm seeing it. Sometimes even Twitter is faster, especially if you're talking about reporters who are at the game and are live tweeting. They've got obviously the most up-to-date information. And that sometimes can be a good 30 seconds ahead of a internet TV feed such as Apple TV, Prime Video, YouTube TV. So I don't know what the answer to that is. Faster internet? Fiber in every home? I don't know what the solution is to change that. I don't know if there is a solution. I'm not sure. I'm not a techie. But something to think about as we go into this new age of TV rights deals and what's going where. People like to bang on cable. I know with cable, I'm getting much more accurate, up-to-date information. than I'm getting through a YouTube TV, Apple TV, Prime Video situation. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Always available on Twitter. Hit me up there at the back page. Like anything we've talked about tonight on Twitter. Again, at the back page. Hopefully you're getting ready for Thanksgiving. Hopefully it is a great Thanksgiving for all of you. Hopefully you're safe. A lot of crazy people on the roads when it comes to Thanksgiving. So take your time getting wherever you're going. That's all I'm going to have is time because I'm going to be driving for about 8 hours up to San Francisco tomorrow. But we'll figure out a way to have a good time with it. Maybe we'll put some live videos up on social media while we're driving up there. All right, so the latest on Aaron Judge. So I'm going to San Francisco. No, I'm not going to chase down the Aaron Judge story. We're just going up there for a getaway. But we are actually staying literally around the corner from the hotel that Aaron Judge is staying at. So I may have to go camp out there and just stand there and hold up a sign saying Aaron Judge or bust. Please go back to New York. One of the things we learned today is that Aaron Judge to the Giants is, if it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen within the next couple of weeks. There's a chance this deal gets done between Aaron Judge and whoever he goes to before the winter meetings are done, if not soon after. That's the reporting that you're seeing from people like John Paul Morosi, who does a great job. Also from Jeff Passan with ESPN, who does an amazing job on baseball. I love reading Jeff Passan's work. He's one of the very best in the game. But Jeff Passan's, and look, Jeff Passan is saying what I'm saying. And obviously he's saying it with an even further heightened background in terms of the information surrounding this story. And that is, Aaron Judge is just playing the game right now. He's enjoying the facet of this, of being wined and dined by teams that are desperate to add him to their organization. You had the San Francisco Giants having Stephen Curry call Aaron Judge to try to convince him to come and play there. You got Jock Peterson trying to convince him to come and play there. I'm sure they put his name up on the scoreboard at AT&T Park to try and make him feel what it would be like to be part of this organization. They're going to do everything they can over the next few days. This is not a one day and done deal where, he was there and then he's gone. They're going to be trying to, evoke some sort of emotion from him, try and get some sort of reaction from him that makes him want to be a San Francisco Giant. And reportedly, this thing hasn't even gotten to the point where they're talking about money yet. We may not even be at the point where they've made a formal offer to Aaron Judge yet. And he's been there a couple of days. So they're taking their time with this, and I get the sense, and Jeff Passan has said this too, Aaron Judge is just enjoying it. You only get this one time in your career. Unless you're, a guy like LeBron James or, some of these other superstar NBA players who sort of get these opportunities, because the deals in the NBA aren't, 7 and 8 years. They're usually 4 or 5 years. But in baseball, you can get signed as long as you want. Go ask Julio Rodriguez. Go ask a Wander Franco or a Jose Ramirez. You can get these lengthy deals. Albert Pujols, Mike Trout, list goes on and on. But Aaron Judge, at the age of 30, he's got this one more time. He's got this one last shot at 30 to get the deal that gets him until he's 37 or 38. So I do not fault him. And if he goes to San Francisco, he goes, and again, I say this as a Yankee fan. If he goes to San Francisco, he goes to San Francisco. I can understand the lure. I don't think he's going there. I have predicted from the get-go that I think he goes back to the Giants, but you never know when emotion gets involved. But he has been, other than Derek Jeter, when you think about the Yankees, he has been one of the most cerebral Yankees to come along in the last generation of Yankees baseball. He does not show emotion. He does not wear it on his sleeve. He does not, he doesn't give away his hand to use some poker parlance. He's not one that gives away his hand. So as it relates to Aaron Judge, I think we just have to all sit back and wait and see. It's his world right now. We're all just living in it. And I'm sure he's going to get his offer from San Francisco, and then I would think they're going to give the Yankees an opportunity to match or do better. And I anticipate the Yankees will. And within 2 or 3 weeks from now, we'll be talking about Aaron Judge as a Yankee for the rest of his career as the captain. If I'm wrong, I will gladly come on the air and be the first one to say, I got it wrong. And then I'll go buy an Aaron Judge San Francisco Giants jersey. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. You can also tweet at us as well at the back page. Hit me up there on Twitter at the back page if you're looking for me. If you want to watch the show, it's real easy. Twitch.tv. My screen name there is Jason Page 77. If you're looking to watch the show, we are officially in sweat mode, ladies and gentlemen. We are in sweat mode. Golden State leads the Clippers 121-96. Anybody got some quick math? Hey, Google, how much is 121 plus 96?
121 plus
Answer is
217.
217. So we're 10 points. We're 10 and a half points under the number that we're trying to get below. Oh, and it just got worse. Golden State just hit a 3. Eesh. 124-96. My God, stop scoring. Somebody turn off the spigot already. There's another note from baseball, by the way. Bryce Harper had his Tommy John surgery on Wednesday, I think. It reportedly went well, but here's the bad news. And I remember talking about this with Brian Kenny on the show last week. Bryce Harper's going to be out for the first half of next season. And that's a long time for that team to play without him. And they've got some talented guys who might be able to still stand up and, fill the breach. But I'm curious to see if they get more active in free agency here, knowing they're going to be without Bryce Harper for at least the first half of the 2023 season. Keep an eye on the Phillies. Start looking at, guys in the outfield that they could sort of fill in with. And then Bryce comes back and maybe he goes and plays, and maybe he's their DH. But it certainly changes the outlook for the Phillies in 2023 when you're talking about being without your best offensive player for the entire first half of the season. All right, we'll come back. I got to get into this Michigan State story. We have not talked about it today. Criminal charges have been filed in the case of the tunnel beatdown that took place a few weeks ago in Ann Arbor. We'll talk about that and more as we continue. I'm Jason Page. It's the Cash In on a Thanksgiving Eve on SportsMap Radio. There it is. Just went over. We would have been losers. I'm on a bad run right now on my live picks. I think I've lost like the last 4.
I need to put this in a dry and run again. The hood is wet.
Is that yours?
I haven't checked yours yet. Let me check yours. The pay hood is also just came out.
Yeah. Oh, went way over. Jesus. Way over. Not good, Austin. Not good. Yeah. Way over. Needed the game to end 2 minutes ago. 28 minutes past the hour. The cash-in rolls along. Well, unfortunately, we chose poorly again. I'm in a rut here. We've lost 4 in a row on our live bets. Not good. 3 in a row or 4 in a row, but not good. We are in a slump. The Warriors and Clippers went over. 231 wound up being the total. 124-107. The bet really was. The Clippers at one point in this game, I think, were plus 26.5. And then the Warriors pull all their starters. That was the pick, was the 26.5. Yeah, we missed. Swing and a miss. Sometimes it happens. As they say, sometimes you're the bat, sometimes you're the ball. Sometimes you're the fly, sometimes you're the windshield. I'm sorry for those of you who were on the wrong side of that. So, my conversation with Jason Cole is coming up in 10 minutes from Outkick.com. He does a great job on the NFL. Some thoughts with him on the Zach Wilson debacle that is unfolding in New York with the Jets right now as they get ready for the Bears this weekend. But I thought it deserved some time because it took place on October 29th. It's already been a month since Michigan State and Michigan played their rivalry game back on the 29th. Well, today the other shoe finally dropped in this story regarding this melee that took place inside the tunnel with both teams in the tunnel at the same time at Michigan Stadium, where one particular player for Michigan, Jamon Green was beaten up by a group of Michigan State football players. So here's what's happened now. 7 Spartan football players are being charged with crimes stemming from that assault on 2 Wolverine players. The Washtenaw County Prosecutor's Office made the announcement today about the charges. So defensive back Kerry Crump is being charged with felonious assault after video was released showing him striking Michigan defensive back Jamon Green with his helmet. Defensive end Jacoby Winmon was also shown in the video. He's charged with 1 count of assault and battery. Atavian Brown, Angelo Gross, Justin White, Brandon Wright, and Zion Young, all charged with aggravated assault. Video showed this whole gaggle of players surrounding Michigan defensive back Jaden McBurrows hitting and kicking him while he was on the ground. Now, Michigan State did its part to try and sanction these players. Obviously, those guys were suspended and all of that. But the law does what it wants to do. And they decided to press charges in this case. And I got to be honest, I've been kind of torn on whether or not this is just, heat of the moment stuff that happens in a tunnel, or if it was something that needed to be prosecuted. And after seeing different videos of this, I can understand why they chose to prosecute it, because I'll guarantee you this sort of thing will never happen again, because you're going to scare the daylights out of these college kids. That, look, let's be honest. The 7 guys that are charged, and, we're talking about video. Video don't lie. And granted, there's been some crazy instances of people getting away with literally murder in instances where there's a lot of evidence showing that they committed the crime in question. But I'd be surprised if these guys got away with what they wound up doing to these 2 Michigan players. And this is going to put a scare into other, tough guy players that want to do this sort of thing. Because now you're talking about having a record, felonies on your record, potentially in some of these cases. And what that means to the rest of your life going forward. It's not going to be pretty for these kids. And these really are just kids. In some cases, you're talking about teenagers in some of these cases. So, you had a bunch of guys suspended. Most of the guys that were suspended wound up being charged. One guy that was suspended was not charged. But, at the University of Michigan, we appreciate the thoughtful, deliberate approach from the county prosecutor's office to this unfortunate incident. That's what Michigan said. We also want to express our concern for all the players involved, especially those who were injured. University of Michigan will continue to cooperate fully with any additional reviews of this matter. Michigan State's interim president released a statement, said the school would continue to evaluate the matter and cooperate with any investigative reviews. They say they don't condone the actions by the players, but they're going to support them through the process. MSU believes strongly in restorative justice practices and the education around harmful actions. So, trying to say all the right things that sort of splits the baby by saying, well, we support the players, but at the same time, we're trying to kind of dissuade people from this kind of behavior, you could say. And one of the players that got beat up suffered a concussion, which kept him out of one game before he returned to Michigan's win over Nebraska. So, but the other lesson in all of this, and we talked about this, I think it was Bill Bender and I talked about it from Sporting News. You cannot have players going into the same tunnel after these games. Michigan is absolutely has some culpability here. And I know people can say, well, you're blaming the victim. No, I'm not blaming the victim. As an institution of higher learning, how smart do you think it is after 2 teams just fought each other's guts out in a football game, a rivalry game, 2 in-state schools? How smart do you think it is to have them going together into the same tunnel after a football game? A game that has the violence and all the physical charge that college football has. How smart do you think it is as a school to have these kids going into the back together? It's not smart. So Michigan has to point the finger at themselves in some regard for allowing this situation to potentially fester and take place. All right, we're going to talk with my man Jason Cole on the other side. He does a great job with Outkick.com on the NFL. What's he make of the Zach Wilson situation and all the Thanksgiving Day football games? We'll talk about that with him and more, including, something I never knew about him. That's coming up next on The Cash In. Glad to have you with us on this Wednesday night. All across America on SportsMap Radio. Continuing on this Thanksgiving Eve. All right, I got it on my Austin Rodriguez engineering and producing this masterpiece tonight from Houston. Will return Monday. You'll have alternate days. Continuing on this Thanksgiving Eve. Austin Rodriguez engineering and producing this masterpiece tonight from Houston. I head up to San Francisco, the Bay Area, for 4 days tomorrow. We'll be off on Thursday and Friday. We will return Monday. You'll have alternate programming in our place on those days. Always happy to bring in this guy. He's probably getting ready for Thanksgiving himself. He's Jason Cole, Outkick.com, NFL writer. He's a Hall of Fame selector as well. What's your favorite thing about Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving football, whatever. I mean, you got something you really like about Thanksgiving?
Really good Brussels sprouts, because I don't eat them pretty much any other time.
Oh, Brussels sprouts are gross.
Roasted with sea salt, olive oil, then a little bit of honey, and rendered down bacon.
Are you a cooking nut? Hold on, are we revealing something about you tonight? Are you a big are you a nut in the kitchen?
Oh, I can throw down.
Really?
Yeah.
So you and Russell Baxter
probably... I'm an amateur, but I can throw down.
You and Russell Baxter probably compare notes. He's a longtime NFL writer. He's been around, researcher and stuff around the game for a long time. I'm sure you know Russell. Mm-hmm. He's big in the kitchen too.
Oh yeah, I can cook just about anything.
Really?
So, yeah.
I love the fact that I just sprung that question because I learned something about you that I did not know all these years. And I am the complete opposite. I do none of the cooking. My job is to stay out of the way and not screw it up. And let
Pretty
my
much,
yep.
Yeah. My girlfriend is like that. I mean, just stay out of the way. Just don't do anything. Although we went to San Francisco, we went 2 weekends ago, not the last weekend, the weekend before. And we went to Tyler Florence's place, Wayfarer Grill, right? Which is terrific. And it's a very short menu, but everything's done, really well. And we're sitting outside, and they bring the popovers, the Yorkshire pudding, right?
You sure?
And she's never had Yorkshire pudding, right? And she's like, what is, and they have the sea salt and the butter, and they're hot, like right out of the Yorkshire pudding pan things. And she goes, this is amazing. And I go, oh, I can make that if you'd like. I have a Yorkshire pudding pan. I can do this. So, she's like kind of fascinated by stuff like that. So I'm, very happy to
see
get
you're,
that kind of stuff to try.
Jason Cole is a catch because he can cook. See, not a lot. Not a lot of guys can. Not a lot of guys can cook. They just they'll take people out to eat or take their spouse or significant other ever out to eat. Not a lot of guys can cook. So you've got a leg up on a lot of guys in that department. You won't be a free agent for very long.
A lot of guys can grill, but cooking is a different thing. And in fact, right at this moment, friend of mine just had her birthday yesterday, and I didn't know about it. So I decided to whip together a chocolate bundt cake, which is made with like sour cream and instant pudding mix and all this other stuff.
You're making me hungry.
So that's in the oven as we speak. So there you go.
You're making me hungry. You know what? I'm going to be driving right by San Jose tomorrow on my way. You bet. I might have you make some more because we were actually considering taking the. We're not even going to get into any football. I was considering taking the PCH up tomorrow instead of.
It's a great drive.
We were thinking about it. We were thinking about it. I haven't decided yet. We're going to leave around 6 a.m. from Palm Springs and get up there. We're hoping around 3 or so. But I may drive right through San Jose, so I might do the old drop in. I might do.
You can do that. You can give a call. There'll be good eats to be had. So there you have it.
All right, talk to me about the Zach Wilson situation. What does it all mean for this team? They're saying all the right things in terms of trying to say, Robert Saleh is saying we're not giving up on him. We'll hope he's back later this season. When you try to sort of decode everything that was said today, what do you get?
He's got some making up to do, and it's stuff that you can't just stand there and apologize, right? You have to stand there and say, you know what, I was wrong. And from here on in, I'm going to turn it around. I'll be focused in on what I have to do. I will learn the offense. You're not going to hear a peep from me. There's nothing that Zach Wilson can say to make up for what he has done. Because the worst thing about Zach Wilson was not the fact that he did not take accountability. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. The pure and utter lack of preparation. And I got to give Dan Orlovsky a lot of credit. I mean, he did a great analysis, without being vicious, of what Zach Wilson did not do on Sunday. And there were 4 or 5 plays that Orlovsky broke down and said, this is a miss on an obvious read. This is a miss on an obvious read. This is a miss on an obvious read. This is the play. It's set up. You have to throw it. And when you don't do these kinds of things, your teammates lose faith in you, right? And that's what's happened. Guys have lost faith in Zach Wilson because he is simply not prepared. He's not put in the work. And it goes along with, he's just a pretty boy, right? He's just the guy with the good looks from Utah who showed up, and the night before the draft, or the day of the draft, he's modeling suits. He's cashing in at every opportunity. He's not focused on the job of being a quarterback. And that's what you have to do first. because livelihoods depend on this. And the livelihoods of other players, the livelihoods of coaches, the future of franchises. There's a lot wrapped up in it. And it goes way beyond the fact that he just said no at the wrong time on Sunday. The no was just the coup de grace. Okay. All the other things are an indication the guy is not prepared to do his job. While on the flip side, on Sunday, right, assuming Justin Fields plays, here's a guy who's putting in a tremendous amount of work to go along with a tremendous amount of physical ability, right? Like, he's an amazing runner and, big physical guy. He can throw it decently. Probably got a better arm than a lot of other quarterbacks. Not, maybe he's not advanced in terms of reading defense yet, but he's advanced to the point where he's a weapon and guys are rallying around him, as opposed to Zach Wilson, where guys are scurrying from him right now,
Yeah.
to the point that Saleh has to let this guy take a seat and go rebuild his career.
There's a real dichotomy there between the two. Jason Cole, Outkick.com, NFL writer, joining us here on the Cash In on SportsMap Radio on this Thanksgiving Eve. Is there something to be said for this idea that Giants-Cowboys is, this battle for Odell Beckham Jr.? I don't think OBJ's making his decision based on this one game, is he?
I would doubt it. I mean, look, OBJ is making his decision based on where's the place that he thinks has a better chance to win a Super Bowl with a quarterback that he likes, who can get him the ball and make him look like a star, so that he can cash in after this season, and he can build upon the legend of OBJ, right? Because right now, the legend of OBJ is about as big as it's ever been. I mean, there's those first few years with the Giants where he's putting up incredible numbers and making the one-handed catch. Yep. And then he starts to fall off and he goes to Cleveland and everything kind of falls apart. And then he resuscitates himself in LA, is having this monster Super Bowl where he looks like he's on the way to being not just the MVP of the Super Bowl. I mean, leading them to a victory, which is amazing, but also could have been the MVP of that game before he gets hurt, right? And so now he's, basically it's, let's make a deal. He is the mystery behind door number 2 or door number 3, right? And everybody's anticipating, oh my God, it's going to be the OBJ. It's going to be OBJ. He's going to be amazing. Maybe he will be. I hope he is. I mean, certainly I like to write about great players. I hope he's a great player. But we don't know what he really is. We just know that there is this amazing myth-making going on. And the only way to propel that myth is to win and to continue to win. So he's got to build upon this. He has an opportunity. And so I think he goes to the place where he can win. Is that Dallas? Is it New York? I think Dallas is the better bet. Does San Francisco come in at the end and say, look, Brandon Ayuk, it's been fun, but you're not progressing fast enough, and we want to have another option to go with Debo and Christian McCaffrey and Kittle, because this can, take our offense another notch up. Who knows? But that's what I think OBJ is looking at, is just where can I build upon my myth and status.
Can I submit another name to you, and you can laugh at me if you think I'm stupid? How about Tampa Bay?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly in the realm of possibilities. I just think Tampa Bay is damaged in ways that I think that are hard to overcome. Like, can you get the offensive line back together? I mean, they're last in the league in rushing.
Yep.
Because their offensive line is terrible, and Brady's got no time to throw. Now, he's still Brady, right? And you could do it. But I will also say, I think Tampa Bay, their ownership is sitting there going, we're only going to spend if we think we really have an opportunity. Like, you notice, after they lost the pass rusher, they haven't, Shaq Barrett. They had opportunities to go get another pass rusher, right? They didn't do it. So I think they're being very like, look, you guys get it together and get healthy, but we're not putting any more assets into this season because it's chasing good money after bad because of the state of the offensive line.
The early game is Buffalo and Detroit. I'm not going to focus too much on that because if Buffalo does what it's supposed to do, they should win that game in Detroit.
I think that's a cool game.
Really?
I think that's a really cool and interesting game because Detroit can do one thing. I mean, look, you're overwhelmingly probably right that Buffalo should win this game and should win it going away. But I will say Detroit can run the ball, and they can score running the ball. And Buffalo is suspect against the running game. And if Detroit can slow this thing down, couple that with, look, Josh Allen's played some really sloppy football this season. A lot of turnovers out there, a lot of interceptions. They've had 6 turnovers in their last two losses. This could. I just think this game has potential to be more interesting. Yes, overwhelmingly, I think they win it. 28-17. And it's just kind of a snoozer from the midway point of the third quarter. But there's possibilities in this one. I'll just say that. Just watch this game. It's interesting.
I got 60 seconds. I think how Minnesota responds coming off the drubbing at home against the Cowboys is going to be very interesting tomorrow. Thoughts?
Fascinating game because you have two teams that are basically trying to overcome their quarterbacks in certain ways. I don't think Minnesota is very good. So they could win just because I don't think that New England's overwhelmingly good. I think that both these teams are probably, they're going to probably make the playoffs. The thing that I'm fascinated by, aside from, how does New England stop Justin Jefferson and force Kirk Cousins to either be patient and just keep giving the ball to Dalvin Cook? But the other one is, how does Kevin O'Connell do in his first game against Bill Belichick? You talk about, your first year head coach, you've had a pretty good season so far. Now you're going against the master. and the guy who, truthfully brought you into the NFL.
Yeah.
Because in 2007, 2008, that opportunity was provided by Belichick.
It's true.
Now, O'Connell bounced around the league, never really made it as a player, but he became a coach. And that starting point is kind of Belichick. And so now you have a chance to go back up against this guy who's got 326 victories or whatever it is, right? 329, whatever. I can't remember the number at the moment in time. You've got 8. And he's going to take away Justin Jefferson. He's going to do everything he can to take away Justin Jefferson. And are you going to be patient enough to play it with Dalvin Cook and try and win the game with Dalvin Cook? Or are you going to try and outsmart the master and force the ball to Justin Jefferson? I really want to see how that plays out because I go back to the Super Bowl between the Rams and New England, a few years ago, when it was McVay against Belichick, and McVay got caught up in him against Belichick.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I got to wrap. Jason Cole, Outkick.com, NFL writer. Enjoy the Brussels sprouts tomorrow. I'll call you when I'm coming through.
Anthony Bourdain will be the ghost of Anthony Bourdain will be by.
All right, we're coming back. We'll wrap up the hour next. All right. Thanksgiving is here. We are just about done. But before we go, a reminder, go check out our friends at playfortickets.com and go enter the Super Pick 7 contest right now. Playfortickets.com. It's free to play, free to enter, free to make your picks. And if you pick the correct side and totals on Sunday for 7 games, it's that simple. $50,000 cash in your pocket, 2 tickets to football's biggest game in Glendale, Arizona this February, airfare and hotel. Go to playfortickets.com right now. Free to sign up, free to join, free to enter. Make your picks. 21 and over to play. Terms and conditions apply. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe. We'll catch you back here on Monday for the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Bye. Austin, you know what we're doing for the podcast. So do it. And have a great Thanksgiving. I know you're working and it sucks, but try to enjoy it. And I'll catch you next week. All right, be well. Thanks. Bye-bye. All right, that does it for us for another week. We are done. My dog is looking. I got to show people this. Look at the dog. He's like, come on. Are we leaving? Are we going somewhere? What are we doing? I don't understand. Yeah, I know. There's that face. It's a face only a doggy daddy can love. What am I going to do with you, huh? What am I going to do with you? It'd be so cute. That's what I have to look forward to for the next 4 days. So that's going to do it for us. I am off to San Francisco. Have yourselves a great week. The rest of the week. Enjoy Thanksgiving. Have a great weekend. Keep an eye on my social media on Twitter at the back page, on Facebook and TikTok and every other social media platform. I'm on too many platforms. I got to narrow it down. We're heading to San Francisco, and we'll see you back here on Monday for the Cash In at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Hopefully Aaron Judge is not a San Francisco Giant by that time, but you never know. Till Monday. Have a great weekend. Happy Thanksgiving.